Yahya Sinwar. Will Sinwar help bring a ceasefire in Gaza? The Israeli forces are on high alert. Will Iran follow through on its threat to avenge the death of Ismail Haniyeh at a time and place of its choosing? Also on the show, Israeli media footage shows abuse of Palestinian prisoners. Rockets hit Iraq's air base housing US soldiers. Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is One.
This week on Take It Out, we tell you everything about the digital arrest scam. We explain how you can choose a good password manager and find out about the latest advancements in the field of robotics. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
This week on World at War, student protests end 15 years of Sheikh Hasina rule, forcing the veteran leader to flee in a helicopter and seek refuge abroad. Ukraine stages an audacious incursion into the Kursk region of Russia as Moscow scrambles its forces to repel Kiev's surprise assault. The United States has sent another of its aircraft carriers, along with missile-shooting warships and F-22 Raptors, to protect Israel, as Iran prepares to avenge the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. And far right-wing protesters go on a rampage across Britain as Keir Starmer struggles to rein in the racist hooliganism unleashed on the immigrants in Britain. We take you to the heart of the world's biggest war zones and answer the why question behind every smouldering conflict. World at War at these times, only on WION.
Good morning, Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching World DNA with me, Raisha Sehgal. There's lots lined up on the show, but first a quick check on the headlines. Hezbollah launches what it calls a squadron of explosive-laden drones at northern Israel, causing damage in some areas. This after IDF claimed to have carried out a series of strikes in South Lebanon on Saturday. White House says it is deeply concerned on the Israeli airstrike on a Gaza City school that killed 100 people. Vice President Kamala Harris asserts the need for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, countries worldwide have condemned the attack. Russian air attack on Ukrainian capital city Kiev overnight. As per the city's mayor, defense systems engaged in repelling the strikes. Air raid alert continues. Brazilian authorities begin work on the black box as they probe what caused the plane to crash in Sao Paulo. First announcements on findings expected in the next 30 days. Bodies of all 62 passengers on board recovered. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian names morality police critic Zara Behrouz Assar as vice president. The appointment comes amid renewed anger over the unit's harsh tactics. Behrouz Assar says the unit needs a comprehensive review. India's former External Affairs Minister K. Natwar Singh dies at the age of 93 after prolonged illness. Natwar Singh was a recipient of the Padma Vibhushan Award. Pakistan's Olympic gold medalist Arshad Nadeem reaches home to a grand welcome. A plain water gun salute and a massive victory procession are just some of the highlights. Paris Olympics javelin gold medalist Pakistan's Arshad Nadeem is back home. Nadeem, who ended Pakistan's 40-year-long medal drought at the Olympics, received a hero's welcome upon arrival. Top officials, including the provincial and federal ministers, arrived at the Lahore airport to receive Nadeem. They were joined by his family as well as fans in large numbers. Nadeem's record-breaking performance at the Paris Olympics has garnered nationwide praise in Pakistan. Besides public applause, the Pakistani leadership and army generals have lauded Nadeem for his historic victory, declaring him the pride of the entire nation.
I am thankful to Allah and Pakistani media and people. They have given me enough respect. This was all possible because of my coach. This year only I got a surgery done of my right knee in February 2024. I am also thankful to my doctor who has performed my surgery. I am also thankful to the Federation and Pakistan Sports Board, Punjab Sports Board. I have reached here because of the wishes of the Pakistani people that I was able to win gold in the Paris Olympics this year.
Members of Nadeem's family also spoke to WION on his remarkable and historic victory.
Yeah, it's a long time when Pakistan was at the peak of squash, and it's a long time somebody... yes, last year a junior player from Pakistan, he won the World Junior, and people came down to the airport and they received him. So, which is like after a long time. So this is another, good time to come down to the airport to receive us. This goal is more valuable because it's the first time individually won by somebody.
The aircraft bringing Nadeem home was given a water cannon salute as a mark of welcome. Also, IT Minister Shehzad Fatima Khwaja had been especially deputed by the Prime Minister for the airport welcome. Fatima spoke to WION's Anas Malik as well.
I think it's absolutely one of the proudest moments that Pakistan will ever have, to have won a gold medal, especially after 40 years in Olympics, and also to have made an Olympic record. And I think Arshad is a complete hero, and he deserves all the heroic welcome that he can.
Nadeem created history in Paris on Thursday by winning the men's javelin title. Before his remarkable victory, Pakistan had never won an individual gold medal at the Olympics. In fact, he blew apart the high-quality field with a record-breaking 92.97-meter throw, a new world record. In recognition of his performance, Pakistan President Asif Ali Zardari has directed that the athlete will be awarded the Hilal-e-Imtiaz, that is the second highest civilian award given by the government of Pakistan. The president will confer the civilian award to Nadeem in a special ceremony recognizing his distinguished services in the field of sports. And a Pakistan bureau chief has sent us this report from Pakistan. Take a look.
Well, the victory parade is ongoing. Arshad Nadeem is on his victory parade right now. Scores of security, scores of personnel, and chants for Arshad. Absolute unreal scenes, despite of having midnight past at the Lahore airport, where Lahoris are out in number to welcome their national hero, Anas Malik, in Lahore, Pakistan, for WION World is One.
Moving on, demonstrations have not died down in Bangladesh, where Ashfaqul Islam has now been appointed as the acting Chief Justice of the country. And this comes after Ubaidul Hassan stepped down from his post after hundreds of demonstrators surrounded Dhaka's top court. The confirmation of Ashfaqul Islam's appointment came from Supreme Court's Public Relations. As per local media reports, demonstrators under the banner of Anti-Discrimination Student Movement have announced that they will not leave the streets until the remaining 6 judges resign. Earlier, Chief Justice Hassan had called for a full court meeting on Saturday. Students called this meeting a judiciary coup. Demonstrators chanted slogans outside the Supreme Court building, demanding all the 6 judges to step down. Well, the Commonwealth Journalists Association has appealed to Muhammad Yunus, the head of Bangladesh's interim government, to ensure the safety of journalists and media organizations in the country. Meanwhile, Sheikh Hasina's son has claimed that she did not formally resign from the post of the Prime Minister before fleeing the country amid intense anti-government demonstrations.
She was going to announce her resignation and announce a constitutional transition of power, which would be Parliament holding new elections. That is what she was going to announce. But she had no plans to leave her residence at all. She did not. That was completely, in fact, the reason this happened was this was completely unplanned. She was going to just resign. She did not wish to leave Bangladesh.
But Michael Kugelman, director of the South Asia Institute at the Wilson Center, has dismissed claims of any kind of foreign interference from Hasina's son, saying that the unrest was driven by internal factors, raising concerns about the violence against minorities in Bangladesh. He said that it would be very difficult for the country to make meaningful progress until law and order situation is addressed.
I think that there are few stories playing out in Bangladesh that deserve more scrutiny and investigation than this issue of attacks and threats to religious minorities, particularly the Bangladesh Hindu community. And I say that because we know there have been documented cases of members of the Hindu community being attacked or threatened. I myself have spoken to friends and contacts in Bangladesh that have told me this. And yesterday, on Friday in Dhaka, there was a large protest in which you had people calling for more attention to and protection for the Hindu community.
At least 300 people were killed in the incidents of violence which erupted across the country following the fall of the government led by Hasina, taking the death toll to 560 since the anti-government demonstrations first started in mid-July. Hindus, who make up about 8% of Bangladesh's population of 170 million, have majorly been targeted. A school teacher has been killed and at least 45 people have been injured. Homes, businesses and temples of Hindus also vandalized. Despite the tension, the police continue to observe a work abstention, citing fears for the safety amid reports of officers being targeted as well as being accused of extrajudicial killings. The newly appointed Inspector General of Police has given an ultimatum to the police across the country to return to their respective workstations within the next 24 hours. Well, given the situation on ground, Bangladeshis, mostly Hindus, have been trying to flee to neighboring India and take refuge there. India's border security force, with the help of Border Guard of Bangladesh, foiled an infiltration attempt along India-Bangladesh border in West Bengal's Cooch Behar district earlier on Saturday. We're seeing on with stories from Bangladesh. Days after student-led demonstrations ended the 15-year rule of Sheikh Hasina in Bangladesh, a surprise inclusion in the interim government led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus is Dr. AFM Khalid Hussain. Let's tell you more about Dr. Hussain, who is currently associated with the Bangladeshi Deobandi Islamic Organization. He is an editor at the periodical At Tawheed and Assistant Director of Balag al-Sharq and an international Islamic speaker. But what stands out is his association with Hifazat-e-Islam, which literally means protector of Islam. He served as the vice president of the Hardliner Islamist organization that was founded in January 2010, comprising Sunni Islamists and the vast madrasa network and supporters. The organization has openly lobbied for political and legal reforms in 2013. Hifazat-e-Islam came up with a 13-point agenda, which included, number 1, gender segregation, and number 2, releasing imprisoned Islamic scholars, among others, to name some. Now, in 2017, on demands from the group, the government ordered the removal of 17 stories and poems by secular and non-Muslim writers from Bengali textbooks. Well, several of its leaders, including Dr. Hussain, has a history of influencing the Muslim against the Sheikh Hasina-led government and also ties with India. In 2021, the group had called for demonstrations against Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Dhaka. Violence had engulfed the country, with demonstrators attacking a train in the eastern district of the country and targeting several Hindu temples. Well, at least 11 people were killed in the clashes back then. And now shifting our focus to West Asia, under fire for killing over 100 people in a strike on a school-turned-shelter in Gaza City, the Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, they've now made a ditch attempt at defending its actions. In a video message, IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari claimed that top Islamic Jihad's commanders were present at the targeted compound, and in order to neutralize them, they conducted the strike. He further claimed that the IDF had taken various steps to mitigate the risks to civilians, including using aerial surveillance prior to the strike. Israel says that the strike killed 19 Hamas and Islamic Jihad fighters.
You can see in a video published by us today that the compound is still intact and that there is no significant cratering or damage to the main structure of the compound. This pattern of systematic abuse of schools for military activities by Hamas and Islamic Jihad endangers both Gazans and Israeli civilians. It must be condemned by the international community.
Meanwhile, the US joined the UK, the Arab states and Turkey in condemning the attack. The White House expressed deep concerns about civilian casualties, with National Security Council spokesperson assuring that they are in touch with their Israeli counterparts and are seeking further details on the incident. Also, US Vice President and also Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris stressed on the need for an early hostage for ceasefire deal.
And I have been working on this around the clock. We need to get the hostages out. We need a hostage deal and we need a ceasefire. And I can't stress that strongly enough. It needs to get done. The deal needs to get done, and it needs to get done now.
US, along with Egypt and Qatar, they have called on Israel and Hamas to meet for negotiations on August 15th in Doha or Cairo in a bid to finalize a ceasefire deal. While there's no confirmation from Hamas, Israel has said that it would attend the talks either in Doha or Cairo. And this as pressure builds up on the Israeli government, with friends and families of hostages taking to the streets in Tel Aviv almost every day, demanding Netanyahu to seal a deal for the release of the hostages in Hamas's captivity. Hezbollah has upped its offensive against Israel. The Iran-backed group claims to have launched explosive-laden drones at Israel's army base. It is the first time that the group has targeted the base. This in response to an Israeli strike in the south Lebanon city of Sidon that killed a senior commander of Hamas, Samar al-Hajj. The Lebanese government has accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for waging a regional war in Lebanon to save his neck. While speaking to the media, Nasser Yassin, minister in the government, said that Lebanon has been stepping up its preparedness for more attacks from Israel. He added that his country would not stand the same level of aggression that Gaza is facing.
Of course, a fragile nation like Lebanon won't stand such aggression to this degree of we're seeing in Gaza. But we have to be prepared. We pulled ourselves together to really work on advancing our preparedness, whether the healthcare or logistics or having food, fuel and other stuff, to a certain level that we can actually absorb such aggression in the first instances of an Israeli attack on Lebanon. Someone who flies or sends their militants or their assassins to another capital, is not shy from waging a regional war.
Well, not just Lebanon, the whole of West Asia is bracing for an escalation given a possible wave of attacks by Iran and its allies to punish Israel for the killings of senior members of Hamas as well as Hezbollah. Well, Jordan, which lies between Iran and Israel, says it will not be a battlefield for the two countries. Jordan's foreign minister said, and I'm quoting, "We informed the Iranians and Israelis that we will not allow anyone to violate our airspace and risk the safety of our citizens," unquote. Meanwhile, a U.S. amphibious assault ship has docked in Cyprus as a part of a pre-arranged visit. The U.S. ambassador to Cyprus said that U.S.'s WASP would be used to support civilians if hostilities flare in West Asia. Cyprus has ordered to help, if need be, in the evacuation of Europeans and third country nationals. Moving on, following the tragic Vopas airplane crash that killed all 62 people on board in the Brazilian state of Sao Paulo, authorities have managed to recover the black box and they are now trying to analyze the information that led to the accident. Well, the black box contains voice recordings and other important flight data. According to reports, two devices, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, they have been sent to the lab in Brasilia for further analysis. The Brazilian Air Force said that initial investigations are currently underway as of now. Investigators will be piecing together all the extracted data out of the black box, and the investigation report is expected to be revealed within the next 30 days.
Nós não temos informações nenhuma.
The FDR flight data recorder were found last night and already transported to CENIPA's lab data voice recorder reading and analysis laboratory in Brasilia. At this moment, the researchers of CENIPA are working to extract and obtain important information that will be able to tell us what happened in this tragic event.
Existem dois tipos de caixa.
Meanwhile, officials have managed to recover bodies of all 62 passengers who were killed in the tragedy. The bodies are being transferred to Sao Paulo's police morgue. Well, the ATR-72 twin-engine turboprop domestic airline, which was bound for Sao Paulo, crashed in the Brazilian town of Vinhedo. As per the Brazilian Air Force, minutes before the crash, radar contact was lost with the plane, leading to a breakdown of communication. Further, pilots did not respond to any kind of emergency. Video surfacing across social media shows the aircraft spinning out of control and plunging behind a cluster of trees near a residential area. However, city officials say that none of the residents were injured. The crash is said to be the world's deadliest since January 2023, when 72 people died on board a Yeti airline that crashed while landing. To curb inflation, the US Federal Reserve aggressively hiked rates for over 2 years to more than 2-decade highs. The central bank had hoped the tightening does not lead to a recession. For the Fed, it's a tightrope walk which would be less taxing if there was a solid indicator of recession. Our next report telling you more.
Worries over the July employment report's lackluster performance set off an economic phenomena known as the SAM rule. According to the SAM rule, if the 3-month moving average of the unemployment rate increases by a 0.5 percentage point or more from its 12-month low, the U.S. economy is likely to be entering a recession. However, SAM is among several economists who have voiced the possibility that this time it is different. So, what is Sam's take on the latest jump in jobless rate? She says the rise in unemployment is a reversal in the recovery from COVID-19, which has been unusual as the pandemic itself. Does the rule work? In most cases, it appears to. Looking at economic data from the last half-century reveals that the rule has been accurate. Unemployment's sharp rise at the beginning of every recession supports that argument. However, this time around, there are other reasons, and the SAM rule does not apply. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And with that, we go to wrap. Thanks very much for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. Stay tuned.
This week on the West Asia Post, Hamas has a new chief, Yahya Sinwar. Will Sinwar help bring a ceasefire in Gaza? The Israeli forces are on high alert. Will Iran follow through on its threat to avenge the death of Ismail Haniyeh at a time and place of its choosing? Also on the show, Israeli media footage shows abuse of Palestinian prisoners. Rockets hit Iraq's air base housing US soldiers.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION World is One.
As Paris Olympics 2024 is currently underway, we look at some must-watch movies based on the event.
What are you doing watching this video? Why aren't you at my show?
Meet Indian comedian and actor Sumukhi Suresh and learn some lesser-known facts about birthday boy Chris Hemsworth. All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times, only on WION E-Club.
Anger, protests, death and curfews since Nigerians nationwide rallied for the first of the 10 planned days of rage over a deepening cost of living crisis. President Bola Tinubu appeals for protests to end after bloodshed. Kenya introduces slam dams to various regions in efforts to protect communities from floods. And meet wild, charming, smart courage, a male catwalk coach who is changing the stereotypes about fashion. Wild of Africa at these times on WION World is One.
The quest for an Olympic medal has begun. History is being made at the Paris Olympics.
Manu Bhaker has created history here in Chatroom.
And the history makers are speaking exclusively to WION.
I'm living my dream, and it's not like it's going to end here.
The best in the world have descended upon Paris, defying gravity and setting new benchmarks. And we are there to cover it all.
The Olympic Games are the pinnacle of sport, and they demand sacrifices from both sportspersons and those covering it. I'm Digvijay Singhdeo, and I will be tracking the best in sport from here in Paris.
Can Team India reach a double-digit medal tally?
The Olympics, it's a sweet bread, but it comes with pressure, for sure.
Watch Gunning for Glory through the Paris Olympics at these times on WION.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Hello, you're watching WION World is One. I'm Crispino Nunes, and here are the top headlines at this hour. Hezbollah launches what it calls a squadron of explosive-laden drones at northern Israel, causing damage in some areas. This after IDF claimed to have carried out a series of strikes in South Lebanon on Saturday. White House says it is deeply concerned on the Israeli airstrike on a Gaza City school that killed nearly 100 people. Vice President Kamala Harris reiterates the need for a ceasefire. Countries worldwide have condemned the attack. Russian air attack on Ukrainian capital Kiev overnight as per city's mayor. Defense systems engaged in repelling the strikes. Air raid alert continues. Brazilian authorities begin work on the black box as they probe what caused the plane to crash in Sao Paulo. First announcements on findings expected in 30 days. Bodies of all 62 passengers on board recovered. Iranian President Mahmoud Pezeshkian names morality police critic Zahra Behrouz Asar as